This play is called Our Town. It was written by Forrest Wilder and was directed by Mr. Hampton and Mrs. Monroe. In it, you will see Miss Leia, Miss Christopherson, Miss Birdsall, Mr. Wymont, Mr. Soder, Mr. Gould, along with many others. The name of the town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just across the Massachusetts line. Latitude 42 degrees 40 minutes, longitude 70 degrees 37 minutes. The first stat shows a day in our town. The day is May 7th, 1901. The time is just before dawn. The sky is beginning to show some streaks of light over in the east there behind our mountain. The morning star always looks so wonderful bright the minute before it has to go, doesn't it? Well, I better show you how our town lies. Up here is Main Street. Way back there is the railway station. Tracks go that way. Polish towns across the tracks and some Canuck families. Over there is the Congregational Church. Across the street's the Presbyterian. Methodist and Unitarian are over there. Baptist is down in the hollow by the river, and Catholic Church is over beyond the tracks. This here's our town hall and post office combined. Jail's in the basement. Brian once made a speech from these very steps here. Along here's a row of stores, hitching posts and horse blocks in front of them. First automobile is going to come along in about 5 years. Belongs to Baker Cartwright, our richest citizen. Lives in the big white house on the hill. Here's our grocery store and Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Most everybody in town manages to stop into those two stores once a day. Public school's over yonder. High school's still farther over. 9:15, noon times, and 3 o'clock afternoons. The whole town, you hear the yelling and screaming from those schoolyards. This is our doctor's office, Doc Gibbs. This is the back door. There's some scenery for those who think they have to have scenery. This here is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhocks, cilantro, and a lot of myrtle. In those days, our newspaper came out twice a week, the Grover's Corners Sentinel. This is Editor Webb's house, and this is Mrs. Webb's garden. Just like Mrs. Gibbs, only it's got a lot of sunflowers in it too. Right here's a big butternut tree. This town, you know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable has ever got it, as far as we know. Earliest tombstones up there in the cemetery on the mountain say 1670, 1680, and they're Grovers and Cartwrights and Gibbses and Percys. Same names as are around here now. Well, as I said, it's almost dawn. The only lights on in town are over in a cottage by the tracks, where a Polish woman's just had twins, and in the Joe Crowell house, where Joe Jr.'s getting up so as to deliver the paper, and in the depot, where Shorty Hawkins just playing 5:45 to Boston. Of course, country, all around. Lights have been on for some time, what with buildings and so on. But town people sleep less. So, another day's begun. That's Doc Gibbs coming down Main Street now, coming back from that baby case. And there's his wife come down to make breakfast. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. The new hospital's named after him. Mrs. Gibbs died first, a long time ago, in fact. Went out to visit her daughter, Rebecca, who married an insurance man in Canton, Ohio. Died out there, pneumonia, but her body was brought back here. She's up there in the cemetery now, in with the whole mess of Gibbses and Percys. She was Julia Percy herself before she married Doc Gibbs at the Congregational Church over there. In our town, we like to know facts about everyone. There's Mrs. Webb come down to get her breakfast too. That's Doc Gibbs. He got that call at 1:30 this morning. And there's Joe Crowell Jr. delivering Mr. Webb's sentiment.
Morning, Doc Gibbs.
Morning, Joe.
Someone been sick, Doc?
No, just a couple of twins born over in Polish town.
Want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything serious going on in the world since Wednesday?
Yes, sir. My school teacher, Miss Washington, married to a fellow in Concord.
I declare. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, of course it's none of our business, but personally, I think if a person goes out to be a school teacher, they ought to stay one.
Say, how's your knee, Joe?
Oh, fine. I never think about it really. Only like you said, it tells me when it's gonna rain.
What's it telling you now? Gonna rain?
No, sir.
You sure?
Oh, yes, sir.
You ever been wrong?
No, sir.
Want to tell you something about that boy Joe Crowell there. Joe was on the rise. Graduated from high school here, head of his class. So we got a scholarship to Massachusetts Tech. Graduated head of his class there, too. It was all wrote up in the Boston papers at the time. Going to be a great engineer, Joe was, but the war broke out, and he died in France. All that education for nothing.
Giddy up, Bessie. What is the matter with you today?
Here comes Howie Newsom, delivering the milk.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
No, just a couple of twins going over on this course lawsuits.
Twins, huh? This town's getting bigger every year.
Say, Howie, gonna rain?
No. Fine day. That'll work, girl. Come on, Bessie.
How old is she, Howie?
Going on 17. Bessie's been only stepping on the road ever since the Lockhart stopped taking their court milk every day. She wants me to leave in the court just the same. She's scolding me the whole trip.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. Doc's out of the street.
Is he? Seems like you're late.
Yes, someone over the separator. Don't want fuss. Doc?
Howie?
Children, time to get out.
Come on, Bessie.
George, Rebecca. Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy skids.
Tentatively ready to finish. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours of sleep this morning, can't you?
Miss Wentworth's coming over at 11. Suppose I know what for. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
All told, Frank, is you won't get more than 3 hours of sleep. I declare I don't know what's going to become of you. I do wish I could get you to take a rest and go away someplace. I think it would do you good.
Emily, time to get up. Wally, 7 o'clock.
I declare you have got to speak to George. Seems like something has come over him lately. He is no help to me at all. I can't even get him to cut his wood.
Well, is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George, Rebecca, you'll be late for school.
George, what's up?
Yes, Bob.
Can't you hear your mother calling for you? Suppose I can go up and catch 40 winks.
Wally, Emily, you'll be late for school. Wally, you wash yourself up good, or I'll come up there and do it myself.
Mom, what dress shall I wear? Don't make a noise. Your father has been out all night and he needs rest. I ironed a red gingham just for you special. Ma, I hate that dress. Oh, hush up with you. Every day I go to school dressed like a sick Turk. Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice. Mama, George looks so at me. I'll come up there and dress up to both of you. That's what I'll do.
We've got a factory in our town, too. Gibbles makes blankets. Cartwright's on it, and it brought up a fortune.
Children, no, I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as a meal as any other that won't have you gobbling and fools. It'll stunt your growth, and that's a fact. Look on the table, Wally.
Mom, but you know, I gotta know all about Canada.
You know the rules well as I do. No books at table. As for me, I'd rather my kids healthy than bright.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm right too, when I'm looking at the stamp collection.
I'll speak to your father about it when he's awake. Seems to me 25 cents is enough for a boy your age. I declare I don't know how you spend it all.
Oh, but Mom, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphate. That's what you spend it on.
Well, I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been thinking of scratchbook. Well, dear, I think it's a good thing to spend some every now and then. Mama, do you know what I love most in the world? Do you? Money. Eat your breakfast. I don't want to.
I gotta hurry.
Walk fast, but you don't have to run. Wally, pull in your pants up with you. Stand up straight, Emily.
Thomas Lobster said my best. Congratulations. Can you remember that? Yes, Mom. Pick up your feet, Rebecca. You look real nice.
Bye,
chick, chick, chick. No, go away with you. Go away. Chick, 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 chick. What is the matter with you? Fight, fight, fight. That is all you ever do. Where did you come from? You do not belong to me. Oh, don't look so scared. Nobody's gonna hurt you. Good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in my throat. I told Charles I didn't know if I could choir practice. Wouldn't do any good.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I can't do that to stay on the key. Thought while I'm resting myself, I'd string some of these beans.
Beans have been good this year. Let me help you.
I decided to put up 40 quarts if it kills me. The children say they hate them, but I've noticed they're able to get them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've got to tell you something. If I don't tell somebody, I'll burst.
Why, Julia Gibbs.
Myrtle, so one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston come to see you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. First, I thought he was impatient waiting to see Dr. Gibbs, and he worked his way into my parlor. And word of lemon, he offered me $350 for grandmother Wentworth's highboy as I'm sitting here.
Why, Julia Gibbs?
He did that old thing. Why, it was so big I almost didn't know where to put it. I almost gave it to Cousin Pastor Wilcox.
Well, you're going to take it, aren't you?
I don't know.
You don't know. $350? What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take some and go away someplace, I'd sell it just like that. You know, Myrtle, it's been the dream of my life to see Paris for nights. Oh, I know, Myrtle. I've been promising myself that if we ever have a chance.
How does the doctor feel about it?
Well, I beat her on the bushel. Said that if I got a legacy, that's the way to put it. Then it made me take me someplace.
Mm-hmm. What did he say?
You know how it is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I met him. No, he said it might make him discontented with Rover's cars to go traipsing around Europe. Better let alone, he says. Every 2 years, he makes the trips to Civil War battlefields, and that's not true for anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Mr. Webb's a good mind to give up Napoleon and move on to the Civil War himself, only with Dr. Gibbs being one of the greatest experts in the country, it just makes him despair.
It's a fact. Dr. Gibbs has never so much as when he was at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I've walked over those hills, Myrtle, pacing out every bush as if we were going to buy it.
Well, Julia, if that second-hand man's really serious about buying it, you sell it. That's why you'll see Paris, all right? Just keep dropping small hints from time to time. That's how I saw the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned it. Only it seems to me that once in your life before you die, you ought to see a country where they don't talk English and don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Now, I'm afraid I have to interrupt again here. You see, we want to know a little more about the town, kind of a scientific, so to say. So I've asked Professor Willard of the State University to sketch in a few details of our past history here. Is Professor Willard here? May I introduce Professor Willard of the State University? A few brief notes, Professor. I'm afraid our time is short.
Grover's Corners. Let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the licensing granite of the Appalachian Range. It's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that. A shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of Mesozoic shale and some sandstone outcroppings, but those are all much more recent, 200, 300 million years old. Some highly interesting fossils, I may say unique fossils, have been found 2 miles out of town in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. They can be seen at the museum at our university at any time. That is, any reasonable time. Would you like me to read some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
I'm sure we won't have time for that, Professor Willard. We might have a few words on the history of man here.
Yes, anthropological data. Early American Indian stock, Cotahatchee tribes. No evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared. Traces evident in 3 families. Migration towards the end of the 17th century of English brachiocephalic blue-eyed stock, for the most part. Since then, we've slaughtered
And
Mediterranean.
the population, Professor Willard.
Within town limits, 2,640.
Just a moment, Professor.
Oh, yes, indeed! The population, at the moment, is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Locality birth rates constant by McPherson's gauge, 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor. We're very much obliged to you, I'm sure.
Not at all, sir, not at all.
This way, Professor, and thank you again. Now, the political and social report. Edgar Webb. Mr. Webb.
Oh, he'll be here in a minute. He just cut his hand when he was eating an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles, everybody's waiting.
Mr. Webb is the publisher and editor of the Grover's Corner Sentinel. That's our local newspaper, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're a lower middle class with a sprinkling of professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 6% Democrat, 4% socialists, dressed indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestants, 12% Catholic, dressed indifferent.
Do you have any comments, Mr. Webb?
Very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most. Probably a lot duller. But our young people seem to like it here well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settle down right here to live, even when they've been away to college.
Now, is there anyone from the audience who'd like to ask Editor Webb anything about the town?
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corner?
Well, man, I wouldn't know what you'd call much. Saturday nights, the farm hands meet down at Ellery Greenhouse stable in Hollersome. No, ma'am, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing in the household here, except in the medicine chest. Right food for snakebite, you know. Always was.
Is there no one in town aware of?
Oh, really? Were we could all hear? Now, what were you saying?
Is there no one in town aware of social injustice or industrial inequality?
Oh yes, everyone is. Something terrible. Seems like they spend most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all hunting like everyone else for a way the diligent and sensible can rise to the top, and the lazy and quarrelsome can sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meanwhile, we do all we can to help those that can't help themselves and those that can't we leave alone. Are there any other questions?
Oh, Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, there ain't much. Not in the sense of beauty, of course. You come to think of it, there's some girls that play piano over at high school commencement. But they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture. But perhaps this is the time to tell you that we've got a lot of pleasures of a kind here. We like the sun coming up over the mountains in the mornings, and we all notice a good deal about the birds. We pay a lot of attention to them, and we watch the change of the seasons. Yes, everybody knows about that. But those other things, you're right, ma'am, there ain't much. Robinson Crusoe in the Bible, and Handel's Largo, everyone knows that. And Whistler's Mother, but those are just about as far as we go.
So I thought. Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now we'll go back to the town. It's early afternoon. All 2,642 have had their dinners, and all the dishes have been washed. There's an early afternoon calm in our town. A buzzing and humming from the school buildings. Only a few buggies on Main Street. Horses buzzing at their hitching posts. You all remember what it's like. Doc Gibbs is in his office, tapping people and making them say ah. Mr. Webb's over there cutting his lawn. 1 man in 10 thinks it's a privilege to push his own lawnmower. No, sir, it's later than I thought. There are the children coming home from school already.
I can't, Lois. I've got to go home and help my mother. I promised.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Papa, you're terrible. One minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next minute you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Golly, I never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Excuse me, Mrs. Forrest.
Go out and play in the field, young man. You've got no business playing baseball on Main Street.
Awfully sorry, Mrs. Forrest. Oh, hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class.
Well, I was really ready to make a speech about the Monroe Doctrine, but at the last minute, Mrs. Corcoran made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny. From my window up there, I can just see your head next to you're doing your homework over in your room.
Why, can you?
You certainly do stick to it. I don't see how you sit so long. You must like school.
I always feel it's something you have to go through.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. It passes the time.
yeah. What do you think? We might work out some sort of telegraph system from your window to mine. And then, every once in a while, you can give me a kind of hint on one of those algebra problems. Oh, I just need a hint, no answers. Of course not, Emily.
I think hints are allowed. So, if you get stuck, George, you whistle to me and I'll give you some hints.
You're just naturally bright, I guess.
I figure that's just the way a person's born.
Yeah. But you see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says I can work on his farm when I'm ready. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. Well, thanks. I gotta get into the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, come and help me string some of these beads. George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old would George be?
I don't know.
Let's see, he must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today and I was very good.
You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it on?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off a spool. I'm gonna make speeches all my life, Mama. Mama, are these big enough?
Try and make them a little bit bigger if you can.
Mama, will you answer me a question serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously, will you?
Of course.
Mama, am I good looking?
Of course you are. All of my children have got good features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
That's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I already told you, yes. Now enough of that nonsense. You have a nice, young, pretty face. Never heard of such foolishness.
You never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, I was, if I do say it. I was the prettiest girl in town, next to maybe Cartwright.
But you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get anybody interested in me?
Emily, you make me tired. Now stop it. You are pretty enough for all normal purposes. Come along now, take your seat.
You are no help at all.
Thank you. That'll do. Now we'll have to interrupt again here. There are some more things we want to explore about the town. I think this is a good time to tell you that the Cartwright interests have begun building a new bank in Grover's Corners. Had to go all the way to Vermont for the market, sorry to say. And they've asked a friend of mine that they should put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. They've put in a copy of the Constitution and a copy of Mr. Webb's Sentinel. We're kind of interested in this because some scientific fellows have found a way of putting all that reading matter into glue, a silicate glue, that'll make it keep 1,000, 2,000 years. They've put in a Bible and a copy of William Shakespeare's plays. What do you say, folks? What do you think? You know, Babylon once had 2 million people in it, and all we know about them is the name of the kings. and some copies of wheat contracts, and contracts for the sale of slaves. Yet every evening, all the families came home to dinner. The father came home from his work. The smoke went up the chimney. Same as here, and even in Greece and in Rome. The only things we know about the real lives of the people is what we can piece together from the joking poems and comedies they wrote for the theater back then. So I'm going to have a copy of this play put in the cornerstone, so that people, 1,000 years from now, will know a few simple facts about us, more than the Treaty of Versailles or the Limerick flight. You see what I mean? So people, 1,000 years from now, this is the way we were in the provinces north of New York at the beginning of the 20th century. This is the way we were in our growing up, in our marrying, in our living, and in our dying. Well, a good deal of time's gone by. It's evening. You can hear the choir practice going on in the Congregational Church. The children are at home doing their schoolwork. The day is running down a tired clock.
Now, before I forget, music come to the world to get to play. Do it again.
Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love.
Softer.
The fellowship.
Softer. You get it out of your heads that music's only good when it's loud. You need loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them if you wanted to. Now again, tenors.
Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian.
Emily.
Hello?
Hello.
I can't work at all. The moonlight is so terrible.
Did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why, yes, George. That's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. Would you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
In yards? What do you mean?
In square yards?
Oh, square yards.
Yes, George. Don't you see?
Yeah.
In square yards of wallpaper?
Oh, wallpaper. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. Isn't the moonlight terrible? And choir practice going on? I think if you held your breath, you could hear the train all the way to Kentucky. Hear it?
What do you know?
I guess I better go back and try to work.
Good night, Emily. And thanks.
Good night, George.
Before I forget, how many of you will be able to make it to the Frederickson wedding Tuesday afternoon? Show your hands. That'll be fine. That'll be right nice. We'll do the same music we did for Jane Crowder's last month. Now we'll do Art Thou Weary, Art Thou Lame. It's a question, ladies and gentlemen. Make it talk. Ready?
Unto me, save one heavenly, be at rest. Happy rise to lead to heaven, if he be my guide. In his feet and footprints, and his side.
George, can you come down here a minute?
Yes, Papa.
Make yourself comfortable. I'll only keep you a moment. George, how old are you?
I'm 16, almost 17.
And what do you want to do after school?
Why, you know, Pop, I want to be a farmer on Uncle Lou's farm.
And you'll be willing to get up early and milk and feed the stock and the hoe and hay all day?
Sure will. What do you mean?
Well, I was sitting in my office this afternoon and I heard a funny sound. Do you know what it was? It was your mother chopping wood. There you see your mother who gets up early and cooks 3 meals a day and keeps her clothes nice for you. And still she has to go out back and chop wood. And she keeps her clothes nice and cooks your meals and you run off and play baseball like she's some hired girl to keep her around the house. Well, that we don't like very much. Here's a handkerchief. I knew I only had to bring your attention to the matter. George, I've decided to increase your spending money by 25 cents a week. Not, of course, for chopping wood for your mother, because that's a gift you give her, but because you are getting older, and I imagine there are many things you must find to do with it.
Thanks, Pa.
Now let's see. Tomorrow is payday. You can be sure of that. I suppose Rebecca will feel she ought to have an increase as well. Say, choir practice never was as late as this before.
It's only 8:30, Pa.
I don't know why your mother's in that old choir anyway. She can't sing any better than an old crow. Traipsing around the streets at this hour. Say, don't you think it's about time you retired?
Yes, Pa.
Good night, Martha. Good night, Mr. Foster.
Oh, I'll make sure to tell Mr. Webb. I know he wants to put it in the paper. My, it's late.
Good night, Irma.
What a nice choir practice, wasn't it? Maria Webb, look at that moon, will you?
Potato weather for sure. Naturally, I didn't want to say a word about it in front of the others. But now we're alone. Really, it's the worst scandal that's ever been in this town.
What?
Simon Simpson.
Now, Luella.
But Julia, to have the organist of a church drink and drunk year after year. You know he was drunk tonight.
Now, Luella. We all know about Mr. Simpson, and we all know about the troubles he's been through. And Dr. Ferguson knows too. And if Dr. Ferguson knows what keeps him around, then the best thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it, but it's only getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. It's getting better. I've been in that choir twice as long as you have. Doesn't happen nearly so often. My, I hate to go to bed so early in a night like this, but those children will be up to all hours. Good night, Luella. Can you get home safe, Luella?
It's as bright as day. I can see Mr. Soames scowling in the window now. You think we've been to a dance the way the men folk carry on?
Well, we had a real good time.
They're certainly late enough.
Why, Frank? It didn't end later than usual.
And you stopping at the corner to gossip about a lot of men?
Now, Frank, don't be grouchy. Come out and smell the carriage over the moonlight. Isn't that wonderful?
What did you do all the time I was away?
I read, as usual. What were the girls talking about tonight?
Well, believe me, Frank, there is something to gossip about.
Simon Simpson far gone, was he?
Worse I've seen yet. Oh, that Frank. Dr. Ferguson can't forgive you forever.
I Suppose I know more about Simon Stimpson's affairs than anyone else in this town. Some people just aren't cut out for small town life. I don't know how that went, but I think it's best we just leave it be. Come now, it's getting cold.
No, not yet. Frank, I'm worried about you.
What do you have to be worried about?
I think it's my duty to make sure you get a real rest and change. And if I get that legacy, I'm going to insist on it.
Julia, we've had this conversation before.
Frank, you are just unreasonable.
We're not going through it again. Now come, I wouldn't want you to catch cold. I gave George a piece of my mind tonight. You should have your firework shop for you for at least a little while. No, put that down. Start with that.
Oh, Frank, there's always so many things to pick up, it seems like. You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairchild always locks her front door every night. All those people up that part of town do.
They're getting sillified. That's the trouble with them. They haven't got anything fit to burgle, and everybody knows it.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only room for one of us at this window. You're always spoiling everything.
Well, let me look just a minute.
Use your own window.
I did, but there's no moon there. George, do you know what I think to you? I think maybe the moon's getting nearer and nearer, and one day there'll be a big explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting nearer, the men who sit up all night with their telescopes would see it first. They tell us about it. It'd be in all the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining over South America, Canada, and half of the world?
Well, probably it is. 9:30. Most of the lights are out. No, there's Constable Ward trying a few doors on Main Street. And here comes Edgar Webb after putting his paper to bed. Good evening, Bill.
Evening, Mr. Webb.
Quite a move.
Yup.
All quiet tonight?
Well, Simon Stimpson roaming around a little. Just saw the west without the hunt for him. So I went the other way. There it is now.
Good evening, Simon. The town seems to have settled down for the night pretty well. Yes, good evening, Simon. The town settled down for the night. I guess we'd better do the same.
May I walk along away with you?
Good night.
I don't know that's going to end Mr. Webb.
Yes, well, we've seen a peck of trouble, one thing after another. Oh, Bill, if you see my boy smoking cigarettes, just give him a word, will you? He thinks a lot of it.
Oh, I don't think smoke no cigarettes, Mr. Webb. Used to weigh no more than 2 or 3 a year.
I hope not. Well, good night, Bill.
Good night, Mr. Webb.
Who is that up there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, it's me, Papa.
Why aren't you in bed?
I don't know. I just can't sleep here, Papa. The moonlight is so wonderful. And the smell of Mrs. Dick's tea room. Can you smell it?
Yes. Haven't any troubles on your mind, have you, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No.
Well, enjoy yourself, but don't let your mother catch you. Good night.
Good night, Papa. I never told you about that letter Jane Crawford got from the minister when she was sick. He wrote Jane a letter, and on the envelope, the address was like this. It said Jane Crawford, Crawford Farm, Grover's Corners, Sutton County, New Hampshire, United States of America.
Well, what's funny about that?
But listen, it's not finished. The United States of America, continent of North America, the Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. That's what it said on the envelope.
What do you know?
And the postman brought it just the same.
What do you know?
That's the end of the first act, friends. Stay up the script. The second act starts soon. gone wrong. Yes, the sun's come up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountain a little bit more, and the rains have cut down some of the dirt. Some babies that weren't even born before have begun talking regular sentences already, and a number of people who thought they were right young and spry have noticed that they can't bound up a flight of stairs like they used to, without their heart fluttering a little. All that happened in 1,000 days. Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways too. A number of young people fell in love and got married. Yes, the mountain got bit away a few fractions of an inch. Millions of gallons of water went by the minute. And here and there, a new home was set up under our roof. Almost everyone in the world gets married. You know what I mean? In our town, there are hardly any exceptions. Most everybody climbs into their graves married. The first act is called daily life. This act is called love and marriage. There's another act coming after this. I reckon you can guess what that's about. So it's 3 years later. It's 1904, July 7th, just after high school commencement. That's when most of our young people jump up and get married. Soon as they've passed their last examinations in solid geometry and Cicero's orations, looks like they suddenly feel themselves fit to be married. It's early morning. Only this time, it's been raining. It's been pouring and thundering. Mrs. Gibbs' garden and Mrs. Webb's here, drenched. All those bean vines and peepholes, drenched. All yesterday along Main Street, the rain looked like curtains being blown along. Looks like it may begin again any minute now. There, you can hear the 5:45 from Boston. And there's Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Webb come down to make breakfast, just as though it were an ordinary day. I don't have to tell the women in my audience that these ladies they see before them, both those ladies cook 3 meals a day. They raise 2 children apiece, wash and clean the house, and never a nervous breakdown. It's like what one of those Middle West poets said. You've got to love life to have life, and you've got to have life to love life. It's what they call a vicious cycle.
Giddy up, Bessie.
There's Howie Newsom delivering the milk. And there's Cy Crowley, delivering the paper like her brother before her.
Morning, Hal.
Morning, Si. Anything papers I haven't on?
Nothing much, except losing about the best baseball pitcher girls Corona ever had, George Gibbs.
You reckon he is?
He can hit in 1 bases, too.
Yep. Mighty fine ball player. Whoa, Bessie. I guess I can stop and talk about mine, too.
I don't see how someone could give up or something like that and just get married. Would you, Howard?
Can't tell, Si. I'm old. Never had no doubt that way. You're up early, Bill.
Seeing if there's anything I can do to prevent the flood. The river's been rising all night.
Si also worked up here about George Gibbs retiring from baseball.
Yes, sir, that's the way it goes. Back in 84, we had the player side. Even George Gibbs didn't touch him. He was Hank Todd. He documented him with Parson. Wonderful ball player. Howard, how does the weather look here?
Oh, ain't bad. Think it's clear for good.
Good morning, Howard. Do you think it's going to rain again?
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. Hey, Rachel, I think maybe it'll clear up.
Certainly hope it will.
How much did you want today?
Well, Howie, I'm going to have a house full of relations. Looks to me I'll need 3 milk and 2 of cream.
My wife is telling me you're going to be very happy, Mrs. Gibbs. Really well.
Thanks a lot, Howie. Tell your wife when she gets there to the wedding.
Yes, she'll be there. She'll be there if she can. Morning, Mrs. Webb.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Now, I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes, ma'am. And 2 or 3.
Is it supposed to rain again, Mrs.
Well, just say Mrs. Gibbs how they light up. Mrs. Newsom told me to tell you so you both will be very happy, Mrs. Webb. Really well.
Thank you, and thank Mrs. Newsom. Oh, and for counting on seeing you at the wedding.
Yes, we'll be there. Couldn't miss that. Come on, Bessie.
Well, Mom, today's the day. Your chick's leaving the nest.
Free kids, don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
Room's up shaving himself. Only there ain't much to shave. Whistling and singing like he's happy to leave us. Every now and again I'll look at the mirror and say, I do. Only it don't sound convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how they get along. I've arranged clothes and seats and I've cut warm things on it. Frank, they're so young. And I don't think of such things. Just practice just within a week.
I was remembering my wedding day, Julia.
Don't start with that, Frank, kids.
I must have been the scaredest young fellow in the entire state of New Hampshire. Thought I made a mistake for sure. And then I saw you walking down the aisle, and you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. Only that was the trouble. I'd never seen you before. There I was in the Congregational Church marrying a total stranger.
And how do you think I know, Frank? Weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces. That's what they are. Here, I've made you something.
Why, Julia Hersey, French toast?
Take hard to make, and I had to do something.
How'd you sleep last night, Julia?
Well, I heard a lot of the hours were gone.
Yes. It always gives me a shock thinking of George setting up to be a family man. That great gambling thing. You know, there's nothing as terrifying as a son. The relationship between father and son is the darndest, awkwardest.
Well, mother and daughter is no picnic, let me tell you.
Still have lots of troubles, I suppose, but that's none of our business. Everyone has a right to their own troubles.
Yes, people are meant to go through life 2 by 2. Tain't natural to be lonesome.
You know what I was scared of when we first got married?
Go along with you.
I was scared we wouldn't have material for conversation to more than last us a few weeks. Thought we'd sit and eat our meals in silence. Well, we've been married nearly 20 years without any noticeable marriage spells.
Well, good weather, bad weather, tain't care of choice, but I always try to find something to say. Did you hear Rebecca's journey upstairs?
No. Seems like the only day of the year she isn't managing everyone's business up there. She's hiding in her room. I get the impression she's crying.
Lord's sake, this has got to stop. Rebecca, come and get your breakfast.
Good morning, everybody. 5 more hours to live.
George, kid, where are you going?
I'm just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
You put on your overshoes. It's raining torrents out there. You don't go out of this house without being prepared.
Oh, come on, it's just a step.
George, you'll catch your death and hold it in a week and come all to the service.
George, you listen to your mother.
From tomorrow on, you can kill yourself in all weathers. Go while you're in my house with a license thing to you. Maybe it gets to bed and leaves their collars at 7 in the morning. Here, take a cup of coffee first.
Be back in a minute. Good morning, Mother Webb.
Goodness, George, you frightened me. Now, you can come in a minute out of the wet, but you know I can't ask you in.
Why not?
George, you know as well as I do. The groom's not to see his bride on his wedding day, not until he sees her in church.
Oh, that's just a superstition. Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
You don't believe in that superstition, do you, Mr. Webb?
There's a lot of common sense in some superstitions, George.
Millions of followers, George, and you don't want to be the first to fly in the face of conflict.
How's Emily?
Oh, she hasn't woken up yet. I haven't heard a sound of her.
Emily's asleep?
Well, no wonder. We're also all hours sewing and packing. Now, I'll tell you what I'll do. You sit down with Mr. Webb and take a cup of coffee, and I'll go upstairs and make sure she doesn't come down and surprise you. Oh, and there's some bacon too, but don't be long about it.
Well, George, how are you?
Oh, fine. I'm fine. What sense would there be in superstition like that?
Well, you see, on her wedding morning, a girl's head's apt to be full of clothes and one thing and another. Don't you think that's probably it?
Yes, I've never thought of
A girl's apt to be a mite nervous on her wedding morning.
that. I wish a fellow could get married without all the art of marching up and down.
Every man that's ever lived has felt that way about it, George. But it's never been any use. It's the people who built up weddings, my boy. For a while now, women have it all their own. A man looks pretty small at a wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure the knots tied in a mighty public way.
But you do believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Don't you misunderstand me, my boy. Marriage is a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. And don't you forget that.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Well, you see, I'd been away to college, and I'd taken a little time to get settled. But Mrs. Webb, she wasn't much older than what Emily is. Oh, age hasn't much to do with it, George, not compared with other things.
What were you going to say, Mr. Webb?
I don't know, was I going to say something? George, I was thinking the other night of some advice my father gave me when I got married. Charles, he said, Charles, start out early, showing who's boss. Best thing to do is give an order, even if it don't make sense. Just so she'll learn to obey. And he said, if anything about your wife irritates you, her conversation or anything, just get up and leave the house. That'll make it clear to her, he said. And he said, oh yes, he said, never. Never let your wife know how much money you have. Yeah.
Mr. Webb, I don't think I could.
So, I took the opposite of my father's advice, and I've been happy ever since. And let that be a lesson to you, George. Never to take advice on personal matters. George! Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Oh, well, Uncle Luke's never been much interested. But I
A
thought,
woman came into my office the other day on the philo system of raising chickens. I want you to read it. I'm thinking of beginning in a small way in the backyard, and I'm going to put an incubator in the cellar.
Charles, are you talking about that old incubator again? I thought you were talking about something that's wild.
Well, Myrtle, if you want to give the boy some good advice, I'll go upstairs and leave you alone with him.
George, Emily needs to come downstairs and eat her breakfast. She sends you her love, but she doesn't want to lay eyes on you. Goodbye.
goodbye.
Myrtle, I guess you don't know about that older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the cavemen, no bridegroom should see his father-in-law on the day of the wedding. Now remember that.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Webb. Now I have to interrupt again here. You see, we want to know how this all began. This wedding, this plan to spend a lifetime together. I'm awfully interested in how big things like that begin. You know how it is. You're 21 or 22. You make some decisions, then you wish. You're 70. You've been a lawyer for 50 years. And that white-haired lady at your side has eaten over 50,000 meals with you. How do such things begin? George and Emily are going to show you now the conversation they had when they first knew that, as the saying goes, they were meant for one. But before they do, I want you to try to remember what it was like to have been young, and particularly the days when you first were young, when you were like a person sleepwalking, and you didn't quite see the street you were in, and you didn't quite hear everything that was said to you. Will you remember that, please? Now, they'll be coming out of high school at 3 o'clock. George has just been elected president of the junior class, as it's June. That means he'll be president of the senior class all next year. And Emily has just been elected secretary and treasurer. I don't have to tell you how important that is. Yep, there they are coming down Main Street now.
I can't believe I've got to go home. Goodbye. Ernestine, can you come over tonight and do Latin? Isn't that Cicero the worst thing? Tell your mother you have to. Goodbye, Helen. Goodbye, Fred.
Could I carry your books home for you, Emily?
Thank you. It isn't far.
Excuse me a minute. Say, Bob, if I'm a little late for practice, start practice anyways. And don't forget to give her a few high long ones.
Goodbye, Lizzie.
Goodbye, Lizzie. I'm glad you were elected too.
Thank you.
Why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
You've been treating me so funny lately.
But since you asked me, I might as well say it right out. Goodbye, Miss Corcoran.
Goodbye, Miss Corcoran. What is it?
George, I don't like the whole change that's come over you in the last year. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I've got to tell the truth and shame the devil.
Change? What do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you. A lot. And I used to watch you as you did everything because we've been friends for so long. And then you began spending all your time at baseball, and you never stopped to speak to anyone anymore. Not even to your own family you didn't. And George, it's a fact. You have gotten awful conceited and stuck up, and all the girls say so. They may not say so to your face, but that's what they say about you behind your back. And it hurts me to hear them say it, but I've got to agree with them. A little. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I can't be sorry that I said it.
I'm glad you said it. I never thought that such a thing would happen to me. I guess it's hard for a fellow not to have fault for his character.
I always expect a man to be perfect, and I think that he should be.
I don't think it's possible to be perfect.
Well, my father is. And as far as I can see, your father is. So there is no reason on earth why you shouldn't be too.
Well, I think it's the other way around. That men are naturally good, but girls are.
You might as well know right now that I'm not perfect. It's not as easy for a girl to be perfect as a man because, well, we girls are more nervous. No, I'm sorry that I said all that about you. It isn't true anyway.
Emily?
Yes, George?
Emily? Do you want to get an ice cream soda or something before you go home?
Well, thank you. I would.
Hello, Stu. How's it going? Good afternoon, Mrs. Slocum.
Hello, George. Hello, Emily. What do you have? Why, Emily Wells, what have you been crying about?
She had an awful scare, Mr. Morgan. She almost got run over by that partner I saw right there. Everybody says Tom Huggins drives like a crazy man.
Well, now, you take a drink of water, Emily. I'm telling you, you've got to look both ways before you cross Main Street these days. It's worse every year. What do you have?
I'll have a strawberry phosphate with you, Mr. Morgan.
Oh, no. Have an ice cream soda, please. 2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Mr. Morgan.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas. Yes, sir, yes, sir. There are 225 horses in Grover's Corners this minute I'm talking to you. State inspector was in here yesterday. They're bringing in these automobiles. The best thing to do is just stay home. Why, I can remember when a dog could go to sleep all day in the middle of Main Street and nothing come along to disturb him. Here they are. Enjoy them. Yes, Mrs. Ellis, what can I do for you?
They're so expensive.
No, don't think of it. We're celebrating our election. And then, you know what else I'm celebrating?
No.
I'm celebrating because I have a friend who tells me what ought to vote for.
George, please don't think of that. I don't know why I said it.
No. You stick to it, Emily. I'm glad you spoke to me like you did. But you'll see. I'm going to change so quick. You better get a change. And, Emily, I have a favor to ask.
What?
If I go to agricultural school next year, would you send me letters?
I certainly will. I certainly will, George. It certainly seems like being away 3 years, you would get out of touch with things. maybe letters from Grover's Corners wouldn't seem so interesting. Grover's Corners isn't a very important place when you think of all of New Hampshire, but I think it's a very nice town.
The day wouldn't come when I wouldn't want to know what's happening here. I know that's true, Emily.
I'll try to make my letters interesting then.
You know, whenever I meet a farmer, I ask him if he thinks it's important for me to go to state agricultural school, to be a good farmer.
By George!
Yeah, and some of them say it's a waste of time. I can get everything I need to know out of the pamphlets the government sends out. And Uncle Luke's getting old. He's almost ready for me to start over taking in his farm. Tomorrow, if I could.
Why?
And like you said, being gone all that time, in other places, meeting other people. Gosh, if anything like that can happen, I don't want to go. I guess new people aren't any better than old ones. They almost never are. Emily, I feel that you're as good a friend as I got, and I don't need to go to other towns to meet other people.
But George, maybe it's very important for you to go and learn all that about cattle judgment and soils and those things. Of course, I don't know.
I'll make up my mind right now. I won't go. I'll tell Pa about it tonight.
I don't see why you have to decide right now. It's a whole year away.
Emily, I'm glad you spoke to me about that fault in my character. What you said was right. Except there's one thing wrong. And that's when you said that for a year I hadn't been noticing people. And you, for instance. Why? You said that you were watching me as I did everything. Well, I was doing the same about you the whole time. Why, I always thought of you as the chief person I thought of. I always made sure where you were sitting on the bleachers and who you were sitting with. And for the last 3 days, I've been trying to walk home with you, but something's always gotten in the way. Yesterday, I was standing against the wall, and you walked home with Miss Crawford.
George, life is awful funny. How could I have known that while I was?
Emily, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to agriculture school. I think that once you found a person that you're awfully fond of, I mean a person who's awfully fond of you too, and likes you enough to be interested in your character, why, I think that's just as important as college is, even more so. That's what I think.
I think that's awfully important too.
Emily,
Yes, George?
Emily, if I do improve, and I make a big change, could you be,
I am now. I always have been.
so, I guess this is an important talk we've been having.
Yes. Yes.
Wait here, I'll walk. Mr. Morgan, I'll have to go home to get the money to pay you for this.
What's that? George Gibbs, you mean to tell me?
Yes, but I have reasons, Mr. Morgan. Look here. My gold watch will tell you about it.
That's all right. Keep your watch. I'll trust you.
It'll only be 5 minutes.
I'll trust you 10 years, George Gibbs. Not a day over. Got all over your shotgun?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. It was nothing.
I'm ready. Well, now we're ready to get on with the play. There are a lot of things to be said about a wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that go on during a wedding. We can't put them all into one wedding. And especially in a national wedding in Grover's Corners, we're properly playing the field. In this wedding, I play the minister, and it gives me the right to say a few more things about it. You see, for a while now, the play gets pretty serious. Some churches say that marriage is a sacrament. Now, I don't quite know what that means, but I can guess. It's like what Mrs. Gibbs said a few minutes ago. People were made to live 2 by 2. This is a good one, But people are so put together that even in a good way, there's a lot of confusion way down deep in people's minds. And we thought that ought to be in our wedding too. The real hero of this scene isn't on stage at all. And you know who that is. It's like what one of those European fellows said. Every child born into the earth is nature's attempt to make a perfect human being. We've all seen nature pushing and contriving for some time now. We know that nature's interested in quantity, but I think she's interested in quality too. That's why I'm in ministry. And don't forget about all the other witnesses of this wedding. The ancestors, millions of them. Most of them set up to live 2 by 2 also. Well, that's all my sermon. It wasn't very long, of course.
I don't know why on earth I should be crying. I suppose there's nothing to cry about. He came over me at breakfast this morning. There was Emily eating her breakfast just as she's done for 17 years. Now she's off to eat it in someone else's house. I suppose that's it. Oh, and then Emily, she suddenly said, I can't eat another mouthful. She put her head on the table and she cried. Oh, I've got to say it. There's something downright cruel about sending our girls out in marriage this way. I hope the girlfriends told her a thing or two. It's cruel, I know, but I couldn't bring myself to say anything. I went into it lying about myself. The whole world's wrong, that's what's the matter. There they come.
That's enough of that. There used to be an awful lot of that sort of thing in weddings in the old days. Rome and later on. We're more civilized now. So they say.
George, what is the matter?
I don't want to grow old. Why is everybody pushing me so?
Why, George, you want it.
Yes, Mom. But listen,
No, George, you're a man now.
Mom, listen to me. The last time I asked you, I just want to be a fella.
George, if anyone should hear you, now stop. Why, I'm ashamed of you.
Where's Emily?
Let me, George, you gave me such a turn.
Sure, Mom. You gotta get ready for this.
Let me catch my breath a minute.
Now, Mom, you say Thursday nights. Me and Emily are coming over every Thursday night for dinner. Just, why are you crying? Come on, you have marriage to be too.
I never felt so alone in my whole life. And George over there looking so... I hate him. I wish I were dead. Papa.
Emily, now don't get upset.
But Papa, I don't want to get married.
Everything's all right.
Why can't I stay for a while, just as I am? Let's go quick.
No, Emily. Now stop and think a minute.
But Papa, don't you remember that you used to say, all the time you used to say that I was your girl? There must be lots of places we could go. I'll work for you. I can keep house.
You mustn't think of such things. You're just nervous, Emily. George, will you come here a minute? Why, you're marrying the best young fellow in the whole world. George is a fine fellow.
But Papa,
I'm giving away my daughter, George. Do you think you can take care of her?
I want to try. Emily, I'm going to do my best. I love you, and I need you.
well, if you love me, then help me. All I want is someone to love me.
Emily, I'll try. Emily, I will.
And I mean forever. Do you hear? Forever and ever.
Come, they're waiting for us. Now you know it'll be all right.
Do you, George, take this woman, Emily, to be your lovely wedded one?
Perfectly lovely wedding. Loveliest wedding I ever saw. Oh, I do love a good wedding, don't you? The Doesn't she make a lovely bride?
I do.
Do you, Emily, take this man George to be your lovely wedded husband?
Don't know when I've seen such a lovely wedding, but I always cry. I don't know why it is, but I always cry. I just love to see young people happy, don't you? Oh, I think it's lovely.
The ring. I've married over 200 couples in my day. Do I believe in it? I don't know. Jones married Smith, millions of them. The cottage, the go-kart, the Sunday afternoon drives in the Ford, the first rheumatism, the grandchildren, the second rheumatism, the deathbed, the reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times, it's interesting. Well, let's have Mendelssohn's Wedding March.
Weren't they a lovely couple? Oh, I've never been to such a nice wedding. I'm sure they'll be happy. As I always say, happiness, that's the great thing. The important thing is to be happy.
That's all the second act, folks. 15 minutes intermission. This time, 9 years have gone by, friends. Summer, 1913. Gradual changes in Grover's Corners. Horses are getting rarer. Farmers coming into town with Fords. Most everybody locks their doors now at night. Ain't been any burglars in town yet, but everybody's heard about it. You'd be surprised, though, on the whole. Things don't change much around here. This is certainly an important part of Grover's Corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. Lots of sky, lots of clouds, often lots of sun and moon and stars. You come up here on a fine afternoon, you can see range on range of hills, all from blue they are. Up there by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee, and way up, if you've got a glass, you can see the White Mountains in Mount Washington, where Lord Conway and Conway are. Of course, our favorite mountain, Mount Monmouth's right here, and all the towns that lie around it, Jaffrey and East Jaffrey, Petersburg and Dublin. And there, quite a ways down that way, is Grover's Corners. Yes, beautiful spot up here, mountain laurel and lilac. I often wonder why people like to be buried in woodlawn in Brooklyn when they might pass the same time up here in New Hampshire. Over here are the old stones, 1670, 1680. Strong-minded people that come a long way to be independent. Summer, people walk around here, laughing at the funny words in the tombstones. It don't do any harm. And genealogists come up from Boston, get paid by city people for looking up their ancestors. They want to make sure they're daughters of the American Revolution and the Mayflower. I guess that don't do any harm either. Wherever you come near the human race, there are layers and layers of nonsense. Here are some Civil War veterans, iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys had a notion that the Union ought to be kept together, though they'd only seen 50 miles of it themselves. All they knew was the name, friends. The United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and died about it. This here is the new part of the cemetery. Here's your friend Mrs. Gibbs, and Mr. Stipson, organist of the Congregational Church, and Mrs. Soames, who enjoyed the wedding so. You remember. Oh, and a lot of others. And Editor Webb's boy, Wallace, whose appendix burst when he was on a Boy Scout trip to Crawford Notch. Yes, an awful lot of sorrow has just sort of quieted down up here. People just wild with grief have brought their relatives up to East Hill. And time, and sunny days, and and rainy days and snow. We're all glad they're in a beautiful place now. We're coming up here when our foot's up. Now, there are some things we all know, but we don't take a minute and look at them very often. We all know that something is eternal. And it ain't houses, it ain't names, it ain't the earth, and it ain't even the stars. We all know in our bones that something is eternal. And that something has to do with human beings. All the greatest people ever lived have been telling us that for 5,000 years. And you'd be surprised how many people are as those of old. There's something eternal about every human being. You know as well as I do that the dead don't stay interested in us living people for very long. Gradually, they lose hold of the earth, and the ambitions they have, the pleasures they have, the things they suffer, and the people they love. They get weaned away. That's the way I put it. Weaned away. The earth part of them burns away, burns out. And all that time, they slowly get indifferent to what's going on in Grover's quarters. They're waiting for something they feel is coming. Aren't they waiting for the eternal part of them to come out clearly? Now, some of the things they're going to say might hurt feelings. That's the way it is. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and miser. All those terribly important things kind of go pale around here. And what's left when your memory's gone and your identity? Mrs. Smith. Well, here are some living people. Here's Joe Stoddard, the undertaker, supervising a new-made grave. And here comes the Grover's quarters girl who left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me see. Do I know you?
I'm Sam Craig.
Gracious sakes alive, of all people. I should have known you afternoon. You've been away a long time, Sam.
Yes, I've been away for 12 years. I'm in business out in Buffalo downtown, but I was in the East when I got news of my cousin's death, so I thought I'd combine things a little and come see you home. You look well.
Yes, sir. Can't complain. Very sad journey today, Sam. Yes, yes. I always hate to supervise the young person's sleep. They'll be here any minute now. I had to come here early today because I was supervising at home.
Old Farmer McCarty. I used to do chores for him after school. You have the one day though.
Yes, we brought Mr. Farmer McCarty here a number of years ago now.
And this is Aunt Julia. I'd forgotten that she. Of course.
Yes, Doc Gibbs lost his wife around 2-3 years ago, and today's another pretty bad blow for him too.
That's my sister Carrie's girl, Sam Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable being there around.
Simon. Do they choose their own verses much, Joe?
No, not usual. Mostly the breed, the verse.
Doesn't sound like Aunt Julia. There aren't many of those verses sisters left. Now, let me see. Where are? I wanted to look at my colleague and mother's.
Over there with the Craigs, out the left.
He was organist at church, wasn't he?
Drank a lot, he used to say. Nobody was supposed to know about it. He'd seen a pack of trouble. Took his own life in mind.
Oh, did he?
Yes. He himself in the attic. They tried to flush it out, but of course they got it wrong. Each listen's own epitaph. You can see it there. It ain't a verse exactly.
Why, it's just notes of music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It was written up in Boston paper.
John, when did she die?
Who?
My cousin.
Oh, didn't you know? Had some trouble bringing the baby into the world. Was her second. This little boy about 3-4 years old.
The grave's supposed there.
Yes, but it's very much shriveled over its own cases, so we're making a whole new gift section for the back. Excuse me.
Who is it? It's my daughter-in-law, Emily Webb. Oh, I declare, the road up here must have been awful muddy. What did she die of? In childbirth. I'd forgotten all about that. My, wasn't life awful? Wonderful.
Wonderful, wasn't it?
Simon, now remember.
I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember reading the class poem at graduation. Emily was one of the brightest girls who ever graduated from high school. I heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. I called on them at their new farm, just before I died. Perfectly beautiful farm. It's on the same road we lived on. Yep, right smart farm.
I always liked that kid. I was hoping they'd do him.
Hello? Hello, Emily. Miss Gibbs?
Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Emily.
It's raining. Yes, dear. They'll be gone soon. Just rest yourself. It seems thousands and thousands of years since Papa remembered that was my favorite hymn. I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. How are you doing, Mr. Stimson?
How do you feel, Emily?
Mother Gibbs, George and I have made that farm into just the best place you ever saw. We thought of you all the time. We wanted to show you the new barn and the great long cement drinking fountain for the stock. We bought that out of the legacy you left us.
I did?
Don't you remember, Mother Gibbs? The legacy you left us? It was over $350.
Yes, Emily.
There's a patent device on the drinking fountain, so that it never overflows, Mother Gibbs. And it never sinks below a certain mark they have it. It's fine. It won't be the same to George without you. But it's a lovely farm. Live people don't understand. Do they?
No, dear. They don't.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes, aren't they? I feel as though I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My boy is spending the day at Mrs. Carter's. Mr. Carter, my boy is spending the day at your house.
Yes, dear.
Yes, he loves it there. Mother Gibbs, we have a Ford too. Never gives any trouble. I don't drive though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Of being one of them? How long does it?
Just rest yourself.
I know. Look, they're finished. They're going. Look, Father Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? Mother Gibbs, I never realized before how troubled and how in the dark that person's up. Look at him. I loved him so. From morning till night, that's all they are. Trouble.
A little colder than it was.
Yes, that rain has cooled it off a little.
Those northeast winds always do the same thing, don't they?
Here's the rain is really low.
But Mother Gibbs, one can go back. One can go back there. Again. Into living. I feel it. I know it. I just then for a moment I was thinking about the farm. And for a moment I was there and my baby was in my lap plain as day. Of course you can. I can go and live all those days over again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I can go and live back there again.
Yes, some have tried, but they soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily. Emily, don't. It's not what you think you do.
I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. I'll choose the day I first knew that I loved George. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you watch yourself living it.
Yes?
And as you watch, you see the thing that they, down there, never know. You see the future. You know what's going to happen afterward.
But is that painful? Why? That's not the only reason why I shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll see that our life moves is to forget all of that and think of only what's ahead and be ready for what's ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand. But Mother Gibbs, how can I ever forget that life? It's all I know. It's all I had. Oh, Emily, it isn't wise. Really, it isn't. But it's a thing I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway. No. At least, choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day in your life. It will be important enough. Then it can't be since I was married, or since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday at least, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. February 11th, 1899. A Tuesday. Do you want any special time today?
I want the whole day.
We'll begin at dawn. You remember it had been snowing for several days, but it had stopped the night before, and they'd begun clearing the roads. The sun's coming up.
There's Main Street. And there's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before he changed it. And there's the livery stable.
Yes, it's 1899. This is 14 years ago.
That's the town I knew as a little girl. And look, there's the old white fence that used to be around our house. I've forgotten that. I love it so. Are they inside?
Yes, your mother will be coming downstairs in a minute to make breakfast.
Will she?
And you remember, your father had been away for several days. He came back on the early morning train.
No.
He'd been back to his college to make a speech in Western New York, Clinton.
Look, there's Harry Newsom. And there's our policeman. But he's dead. He died.
Whoa, Bessie! Bessie! Morning, Bill.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early.
Big Hirsch for a party. Darn near froze dead down by Holstein bar. Got drunk and had it and laid out in the snowdrifts. Thought he was in bed and I shook him. Why, there's Joe Crow.
Morning, Miss Morning, Howie. Children, Molly, Emily, time to get up.
Mama, I'm here. How young Mama looks. I didn't know Mama was ever that young.
You can come dressed for the kitchen fire if you'd like, but hurry.
Oh, good morning, Miss Wilson. Oh, it's cold.
And below my bar, Mrs. Webb.
Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I laid it up for you special, the dress is there. For a snake to bite you.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yes, just been back to my old college in New York State. Been any trouble here?
Well, I was called up this morning to rescue a Polish fellow. Darn near froze to death he was.
We must get it in the paper.
Nothing much. Papa.
Good morning, Mother.
How did it go, Charles?
Oh, fine, I guess. I told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Yes, can't think of anything that's happened special. Been right cold. Howie Newsom said it's 10 below over to his barn.
Yes, well, it's colder than that at Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. Paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Coffee's waiting when you want it. Oh, and Charles, don't forget it's Emily's birthday. Remember to pick her something, didn't you?
Yes, I've got something right here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. You can see her at breakfast. She's slow enough as it is. Children, time to get up. I don't want to call you again.
I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Mama, I'm here. I'm grown up. I love you all. Everything. I can't look at everything hard enough. Good morning, Mama.
Oh, well, now, a very happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. You can come dressed for the kitchen bar, don't you? There's some surprises waiting for you on the table.
Mama, you shouldn't have. I can't. I can't.
Birthday or no birthday, I want you to eat your breakfast good and slow. I want you to grow up to be a good, strong girl.
got in the blue papers from your Aunt Carrie, and I reckon you can guess who brought in that postcard on them. Found it on the doorstep, I took it to note. George Gibbs. Must have come over pretty early in the cold. Right, nice of him. Oh, George. I'd forgotten that. Eat that bacon good and slow to help keep you warm on a cold day. Mama, just look at me 1 minute as though you really saw me. Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. Your old grandmother, Mama. I married George Gibbs. Mama, Wally's dead too. His appendix burst on a camping trip to North Conway, and we felt just terrible about it. Don't you remember? But just for a moment, Mama, we are all together. Mama, just for a moment, we are happy. Let's look at one another. That is the yellow paper is something I found in the attic among your grandmother's things. You're old enough to wear it now, and I thought you liked it. And this is from you. My Mama, it's lovely and it's just what I wanted. It's beautiful. Well, I hoped you'd like it. Hunted all over for it. Your Aunt Nora couldn't find it in Concord, so we had to send it all the way to Boston. Oh, and Wally made something for you too in manual training class. He's very proud of it. Make sure to make a big fuss. Oh, and your father has a surprise as well, but I don't know what it is myself. Shh, here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It goes so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. I didn't realize. So all that time, all that was going on, and we never noticed. Take me back, up the hill, to my grave. But first, wait. One more look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking. And Mama's sunflowers. And food. And coffee. And new ironed dresses and hot baths. And sleeping. And waking up. Earth, you are too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Do human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute.
No. The saints and poets, maybe. They do something.
I'm ready to go back. Were you happy? No. I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are. Just blind people. Look, it's clear enough. The stars are coming up. Mr. Stimson, I should have listened to them.
Yes, now you know. Now you know. That's what it was to be alive. To move about in a cloud of ignorance. Go up and down, trampling on the feelings of those around you. To spend and waste time as though you had a million years. To always be at the mercy of one's self-centered passion or another. Yes, now you know. That's what it was to be alive. Ignorance and blindness.
Simon Stimson, that ain't the whole truth, and you know it. Emily, look at that star. I forgot its name.
My boy Joel was a sailor, knew them all. He'd sit on the porch evenings and tell them all by name. Yes, sir, wonderful.
The stars and by you company.
Yes, yes, it is.
Here's one of them. Right?
That's funny.
Take one time for one of them to be here.
In the States.
Mother gave this George. Yes, Ellen. Just rest yourself. It's George.
And my boy Joel, who knew the stars. He used to say it took millions of years for that speck of light to get to the earth. It don't seem like a body could believe it, but that's what he used to say. Millions of years. Goodness, that ain't no way to behave. You ought to be home. Mother Gibbs,
Yes, Emily?
they don't understand. Do they?
No, dear. They don't.
Most everyone's asleep in Grover's Corners. There are a few lights on. Shorty Hawkins down at the depot just watched the opening train go by. And at the livery stable, someone's setting up late talking. Yes, it's clear enough. There are the stars doing their old crisscross journeys in the sky. Scholars haven't settled in the matter yet, but they seem to think that there are no living beings up there. Just chalk or fun. Only this one's straining away all the time to make something of itself. The strain's so bad that every 16 hours, everyone lies down and gets a rest. 11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. You get a good rest too. Good night.